Welcome, Inger.
It's a real pleasure to be here.
Inger, you have just launched a major report on gender relations. You have lived many years in Sudan and elsewhere. What motivates you in your engagement for young Arab women?
Well, first of all, yes, we've just launched a very important report on gender. And I have to say that I'm really pleased with this because obviously the issue on gender in the Middle East and North Africa region is a very topical issue at this time. And part of it is that what the report bears out, it tells us that even though we've made great strides in the Middle East and North Africa region on education and on health, which is huge, we've seen massive enrollment of girls in school, much better health outcomes for girls and women, and this is really great. But there's some persistent challenges that remain, and the report speaks about this. One of the challenges deals with these gaps of women in the labor market, women empowerment, women in politics, and women in the overall economic running of the country. And so are the various countries. And this is, of course, something that we're not just coming at from a value-based point of view, but really engendering and women empowerment is not just the right thing to do. It's also very smart economics. No country can afford to have half of its population not engaged in productive activities if the women so choose. Now, some women choose to remain at home, and of course that's a very legitimate choice. But we would like to see that women's engagement in the labor market is one that is open. And there are some fairly persistent things that we're seeing that are holding women back. In some countries, it is a mismatch between what women study and what the labor market has to offer. In a way, women are tending to study more things that will get them a public sector job, but the private sector is hard for women to break into. And so we're seeing fewer opportunities for women in the private sector. So these are the kind of issues that we're faced with, in addition to which we see very high unemployment amongst women. 40% of young women are unemployed. Now, this is huge and fairly unheard of. In the general female population, around 20%, if we average across the Middle East and North Africa region, 25% are employed only or looking for work. So there's a lot to be done in this regards. And here is the thing. When we look at, or you take a picture, any picture from any of these great events that happened in 2011, and you look at the streetscape, who was in those squares, we know that it was both genders. We know that women played an active role. We know that women were as brave as their brothers. And we know that women fought for a new and different future for their country. And so they also want now to find a voice in the political and in the economic as well as in the social space. And so this report bears this out and speaks to some of these issues. And so for me, as I said, it's not just the right thing to do, it is really smart economics. And that's what motivates me. Today we had a second launch here in Marseille at the CMI of the gender report. We had a room full, I didn't count, but maybe there were 100 people or maybe more, and it was vibrant. And you hear those voices of these young women and older experienced women, and that's what inspires me, because we have to continue working on this. And I'm really pleased we had this event here today at the CMI.
How is knowledge generation and dissemination and regional integration strategic toward bank work in the MENA region?
Well, here's the thing. What we do at the bank has to entail knowledge, operational engagement, analytical work, dialogue. We need to be able to deal with a whole array of ways with which we engage with clients. And in fact, President Kim has talked about this fundamental shift that needs to happen in the way in which we manage knowledge. Now, this is very important. Knowledge cannot be, I go away, I lock myself in a room for 2 years, I write a brilliant report, and I publish it. I don't think it ever was, but we need, today is a different world. Today is a connected world. Today is a global world. Everybody's a global citizen. Everybody can get the same information at the same time. So what are we at the bank, we at CMI, doing to help reach out beyond just the library, beyond just the bookshop? And so the kind of knowledge that we do, yes, we have the deep dive reports that could take some time to write, but we also have to look at just-in-time supply of knowledge. And here one of the things that I think is very important is what our center here, the one that we work together in partnership with many others, the Center for Mediterranean Integration here in Marseille, working with our French partners, our German partners, civil society, private sector, many other partners together here at the center, UN, UNDP, etc. What we're doing here is offering up, if you like, a platform where we can come, take a little bit off our institutional hats and learn together. Share the knowledge that we have, and everybody leaves a little richer. Now that's an important element and very important in the toolbox, I'd say, for the World Bank. How can we as a World Bank ensure greater knowledge dissemination? How can we reach out more proactively? And how can we learn from many others who have got great experience to bring? So that's what we're trying to do. And certainly here we also use at the CMI this what we call Rencontre Valmer. We are sitting in this beauty Valmer building, and this rencontre, this meeting, is in a sense a meeting of the minds on a topic. And today, last 2 days in fact, we discussed issues pertaining to urban. So the point is, bring together people, table a topic, have specialists in their field exchange from a variety of walks of life. There's a true wealth in that, and something that we from the World Bank and many of our partners very much value.
As you know, Inger, we have a major engagement in urban development here at the CMI. It is also the subject of our Rencontre Valmer. For you, what role can cities play in MENA region? And how can the bank CMI support Arab cities in the context of regional transition?
Well, look, the Arab region is a highly urbanized region, one of the most urbanized regions of all. And it's no accident. We have water scarcity, so people tend to agglomerate along rivers, Egypt being a good case in point, along water supply where that is available. So people have agglomerated for centuries. Now, obviously, in the last 50 years, we've seen a much faster agglomeration. So we have high agglomeration, high urban density. Now that brings with it some huge opportunities. Service delivery is one such issue that people will need when they live much closer. You need to deal with municipal solid waste, garbage. You need to deal with water supply because you can't just walk down to the well as you can in the village. And you need to deal with supply of energy to keep the whole metropolis moving forward. You need to deal with transport. So those kind of elements are critical. In addition, and something that we are seeing very much also now, you need to have security. People, especially women, we just spoke about gender earlier on today, women need to feel safe moving around their city. Fathers and mothers need to know that their daughters are safe. And so there are certain services that need to happen and need to be there. So the question then is how to provide these. And I think what we had in the last couple of days is a very rich discussion about how political voice is also often a function of urbanization. How we see people have an expression of desire for change, often emerging in an urban setting. Not to say that it hasn't been happening also in rural settings, but obviously the dynamism and the mass mobilization that we saw in the cities was something to take account of. So now this change has happened. So what needs to happen then so that governments and the people can see that things are moving forward? Well, one of the things that we often talk about is how can we move the government closer to the people? What does that look like? If you have a big country and you're sitting in the southern end of the country, actually the capital is very far away from you. Where do you meet government? You meet it in the school, in your children's school. You meet it in your water supply. You meet it in the potholes in your road. You meet it when electricity gets cut. This is where you meet government. So what does it take then to move government closer to the people? In a way, what it takes is finding ways to decentralize, making service delivery at the local level, making decision making at the local level, something as simple as in the schools parent-teacher association. It's an expression of democracy, but a different expression than the voting. It's an expression of having a say in how your child's school is run, having an understanding of the services you're entitled to, having a place to go to complain when things don't get fixed. So in a way, the whole urban story is a story of greater efficiency, of greater jobs, but is also a story of empowerment. And there is an opportunity right now in many of our countries that are going through this change of moving forward with a better service delivery at the local level, empowerment at the local level, and a decentralized approach to ensure the strong state can continue. In a way, by centralizing in one spot in a vast country, you weaken the state. By decentralizing to the third tier, to the municipalities, you strengthen the state. So this is the kind of discussion we had in the last 2 days, and I must say I was very encouraged by the kind of voices that I heard, a lot of very interesting discussion, and clearly this is an area that is evolving still in the Arab region, and much more work is to be done, but I can assure you that from the World Bank side and from the many CMI partners side, there's a great interest in continuing this work and supporting this work.
Well, thank you for your time, Inger.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure interviewing you.
I also want to thank the CMI, Mats Carlsen, and all the staff and the people here at the Center for Mediterranean Integration, as well as our partners who really are part and parcel of the success of this center. This center is not owned by anyone, it's owned by everyone. And it offers that platform for people to come together. And it is in a beautiful setting here in Marseille. So I hope that we will see more and more great meetings, great engagements. So I thank you for this opportunity.